Welcome everybody. Just letting you know that this workshop is live streamed. We have Kaimahi in the room, Grace Huete, Andy Lowe, Gisela Carr. Welcome. Thanks for coming to talk to us today about Toi Pōneke. Right, thank you. Take it away.
Kia tēnā koe, councillors. I'm Gisela Carr, Head of Creative Capital. On my left is Andy Lowe, Manager of City Arts, and on my right is Grace Huete, Manager of Toi Pōneke. And also online is Matt Tuffin, who is in the Creative Capital team and has been Senior Responsible Officer for this project. Matt's unwell, so he's unable to attend this afternoon. Each of us are going to be talking. It's a pretty short briefing, but in effect, what I'd like to say to you first is that we've been in a 4-year process of refreshment of the Council's Arts Centre offering. And that process of refreshment that we are going to talk about today is going to inform a number of operational decisions that we need to take next year. These decisions are sitting within the LTP budgetary allocation you've given us, so this is not a discussion about additional financing. What it is we're giving you a heads up as councillors because this side of Christmas we're engaging with key arts sector people, particularly the tenants and residents of Toi Pōneke, and talking about what the shape of next year looks like and some of the decisions we're going to have to take. So we wanted you to hear from us first before we engage in that process. What I'd like to do first, I'm going to come back and talk to you about the project itself, but I'd just like to ask Grace to refresh your memories, for those of you who don't know, about what Toi Pōneke is.
Kia ora koutou. Toi Pōneke Arts Centre has been a council-operated facility since 2005. It came out of the original protest from the arts sector around the bypass going through the top of Cuba. So the council came with the solution of a temporary solution of the building that we currently have. In the building at the moment, we've got 16 organisations, arts organisations that are local and national organisations. It houses 34 artists currently within its 29 studios. It has individual spaces for hire, dance studios, community meeting rooms, and an upper chamber which is used as a multi-purpose space for theatre, as well as an exhibition gallery space, and it has a large variety of public programs that it runs. It also runs arts-related residencies for deaf, disabled community, along with sonic music, along with the Right Room, which is for screenwriters, producers, dance residencies, etc.
So the centre has had quite a significant history within its own context, and some notable people have been associated, particularly people coming out of the emerging arts markets of Wellington. If you recall, we have a strong investment in tertiary training for creatives, but we often struggle to hold on to them after that process because there are, for instance, the television and film market is sitting in Auckland. So Toi Pōneke has been an invaluable place where people go, and the team involved in thinking about this has been acting under instruction from the LTP last triennium, where we were asked to think about what a refreshed Toi Pōneke offering would look like and how it might be modernised in a 21st century context. And so a lot of work has gone on there, and they're going to talk about that. Dancing round this, and for those of you who've been down to Toi Pōneke, is the building that we're in at the moment. So it's a rather large footprint. It's a former education department building, and it's a sprawling mass of offices, but it's also rather elderly. I think Grace calls it a grand old lady, and then she goes on to say, I know the grand old ladies have their problems.
Grand
so do grand old men.
Bladder issues.
We constantly deal with leaks. I had a staff member ring me one Friday night to say, the toilet's fallen off the wall, what should I do? So there are problems with the building. We've got a key decision operationally coming up next year when the lease is up for renewal, and a lot of the thinking we've been doing has been leading us into that space. So change is coming. There's been a whole process to think about what that change looks like, and to talk about that, I think, Andy, are you picking up at this
Absolutely.
point? Okay.
Kia ora Gisela, ka nui te meki kia koutou. So we have project objectives that have come out of this and come out of the ahotini work that's been happening in that space, and they are going to bring the change that that will mean that Toi Pōneke will be a hub, a more welcoming and engaging place for our artists, our emerging artists, and all of our artists going forward. We want to make sure that the purpose is fit for purpose, the facility is fit for purpose, and that it actually can deliver a facility that people can work in and out of safely and with good health and safety. And we're also going to deliver the project within the budget. So that is within the current OPEX budget and the approved one-off CAPEX budget as well. As we're working through this, we know that we've been looking at different building options, and we know that there's potential for this not to be the same as the existing Toi Pōneke in terms of size. So we've got things to think about in terms of our tenancies, and we're beginning to think about and talk about that with our tenants as well at the moment. So it's Toi Pōneke has been an enabler for local and national arts organisations, and the reimagined model will expand and reach its reach and impact. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Just reminding us that Toi Pōneke has quite a formidable background. It was the home of Cuba Duba, it was the home of the Fringe Festival, home of Barbarian Productions, home of Kia Mau, home of Taika's first movie, Shark vs. Eagle. So, it's a lot that have come from Toi Pōneke. And in doing that, we had to engage in a very wide sector. So we've, over the last 3 years, held Let's Talk Wellington meetings with Reimagining Toi Pōneke. We held them at Te Haukainga at Takirua Centre. We held them at Vogelmore, the bowling centre. We held them at the Hannah Playhouse. And we even held them at Te Raukaramu Marae Massey University, as well as at Toi Pōneke itself. We wanted to go wide to the sector and get their thoughts. Well, at those meetings, we had things like digital apps called Slido, which people were able to give their feedback, and you can see there. The sector was very clear that they felt that Toi Pōneke needed to open up more and include them and be more inclusive to see a mana whenua voice, to hear the mana whenua voice, to have a manaakitanga, to have a multi-use space, a cultural space. So there was a lot that came from those feedback. Within that, we've also held over 5 wānanga that have been with academics at Victoria, Massey, Toi Whakaari, New Zealand Dance School. A wide variety of everybody that's interested in the arts was invited. And when we spoke with Māori, we spoke, of course, with our mana whenua parties. We've had mana whenua as part of this initiative from the conception, and we tend to have them at completion. We have 2 mana whenua advisors, Kawea Moriarty, representing Ngāti Toa, and mandated by Ngāti Toa, and we also have Noel Woods, mandated by Te Atiawa and Taranaki Whānui. They have been with us, they are part of our project team, and are aware that we're presenting this. So you can see the feedback has been wide and vast. They have had their hui, brought back their feedback. Their feedback has been very much in line with the wider sector about us opening up to them. Kia ora. Now, as we go into the baseline activities, these are the lines that are not movable. They're our foundation and core, and a fundamental. So, of course, we have the Ahotine 2030 strategy. We've got our council facility there, of course, with Te Aue Māpara being part of that whole centralised booking system. We've also got our clear mana whenua relationship, grounded in kaua and tikanga, operates as treaty-led facility aligned with the Tākaihere and Tupiki Order strategy. We're also looking at it being inclusive, remaining inclusive and accessible. Accessibility is a big issue that we have with the current facility, with the continuous breakdown of our lift and issues around that. We also know that we need to communicate more with our sector and open up around our marketing and being inclusive there. But at the same time, we do need a more modern and low maintenance space. So those are our foundation touchstones.
And so we've been working with numbers of people and organisations over the last couple of years to really cement what the vision will be for this future of Toi Pōneke. And some people feel like it's going backwards to what it originally was set up for, which is good too. But it's really around being a catalyst for the growth and support development of Wellington artists. That is the key aspect that we're really honing in on. And also we're really focusing in back into that time of the transitional space. So people moving in, moving out, doing a lot, bringing a lot of energy and proactivity into that space at the moment, as well as working through numbers of ideas. In particular, to that is the tuakana teina model, which is around supporting artists from more senior areas of the work into space, into the art space and into careers, and also the teina, which is the more junior model, junior partner being supported into that space by the tuakana. So it's a very exciting time, and those are the three key concepts.
What next? Well, at the moment, we're at the stage of drawing up. We have an outcome strategy framework in place, and from there, that has shown us the change initiatives that are needed. We're at that process at the moment of developing those, because it is a big process, moving from focusing on the individual to focusing on the collective. So coming January, March 25, the development of the plan will be delivered, and we'll have outcomes ready for reimagining Toi Pōneke. This includes underlying policies that we need to develop in systems and processes. Another update will be provided to you by the end of March. We have a lease that's currently in place until the 30th of October 2025. There is a right of renewal for another 5 years, but at that also comes with the high cost of maintenance, with continuing on for another 5 years. But after that 5 years, that lease is no longer there. So we will have a decision whether to terminate or continue on at the end of March. Kia ora. Any questions?
Ngā mihi. Thank you. First partai, Councillor Young.
And Giselle, I thought the big issue with the existing building was its seismic issue, apart from the fact it's a nightmare building. But
that's another one of the factors. There's several factors.
What is its current sort of rating?
We're able to operate within it. The seismic issue, like a number of those buildings, Councillor Young, is related to just a portion of it. It's the issues really are more to do with, in the first hand, just the degrading nature of the building in terms of maintenance. Yep. And secondly, in terms of what the art sector is looking for, these isolated small rooms that comprise the building are not enabling collaboration.
Yep. Mea whānau.
Kia ora team, thank you for this. This is very exciting. I especially love the focus on inclusivity and the views of mana whenua, so thank you for that. I suppose two questions. So the intention is to find a new space that can deliver on this strategy. I was just curious as to what sort of spaces you'd been looking at out of sheer curiosity on one hand, and is the intention to hopefully move into a new space beyond the 30th of October 2025?
Yes, the team have looked at a number of spaces, and a couple seem possibilities. We're deep in investigation in the moment. They are smaller than the existing Toi Pōneke, which is huge. So hence our need to talk with the tenants and just say this is, a heads up about this. And we're hoping by March that we'll be absolutely, in fact, we're intending by March, we'll be absolutely clear on what the choices facing us are. Yep.
Councillor Calvert.
On that basis, I'd really like to see a project plan about, the key dates where you're planning on what you're planning on doing by, because obviously this has been going on for 4 years, and we need to come up with a solution, and I know you're working hard on it, but I'd like to see a timeline so that we can all be held accountable to that.
Oh, there's very detailed project planning in place.
Yeah, but if you could provide us with the key milestones and something like that, because I could just only see from there's a couple of dates in the in the presentation, but I'd be keen to see what's happening and when, because I'm looking for something practical, from this. I know there's a big thing about what we want to do, but it is an arts centre that sits under a Ahutini strategy, which is part of Wellington City Council. Oh, thank you, Councillor. Yeah, thank you. Would you like to ask questions for me?
Look, all right, I might just make a rule that only one person talks at a time. No, but we've had it already that councillors have interrupted Gisela and other kaimahi, so we'll just please try and all respect that rule.
Thank you. So just, I was interested how you were talking about the principle of tuakana teina. But isn't that a principle of most cultures, about, people with experience mentoring others? I mean, from how you've described it in this document, I just think that's part, because we've got lots of different cultures in Wellington and lots of different arts cultures as well.
Yes.
So wondering why it's focused just on that, because that is part of a lot of cultures.
Actually, it's interesting you should say that. We did a deep dive to see how many graduates come out of all the arts centres in Wellington. It was over 1,000. And a lot of them leave town. We might be lucky to hold on to 20% of our emerging artists. So, when we talk about tuakana teina, we've got to look at what the industry has to offer them and how we can focus and bring them on board. And when we bring on tuakana, of course, those are the senior practitioners that are able to nurture the emerging artists coming through. But we do need to create a facility that can take care of those emerging artists.
Yeah, it was just interesting of how you just only aligned it to something from the Maori culture, but not in other cultures. That's what I'm
Councillor,
getting.
That's the beauty of my culture. It's for everyone.
Thank you.
And tuakana teina is a wonderful process that I think the English would call reciprocity. So teina offer innovative and new practices and new art forms. Tuakana share the knowledge that they have. So it works in a cycle form. And so, like many Indigenous cultures around the world, there are different concepts. But here in Aotearoa, tuakana teina is a concept that our arts sector grasps very closely and understand
All
it
right, thank you.
immediately. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Foon.
Yeah, kia ora. This is exciting. And the question I have is, what is the long-term view? So if we've got possibly a 5+ lease, but just looking forward, what is the lifetime of this project that we're looking toward?
I think if we move buildings, we will be doing that and not renewing the lease. So if that's the route that we take, then we're obviously thinking about a long-term investment by the council in provisioning the creative sector in this way. I mean, Pōneke is quite, I shouldn't say quite unique, that's bad English.
Yeah.
It's unique. And I aim to please. It's unique. It's actually unique in New Zealand in terms of this focus. So we want to double down on that and in the right setting and in a modern setting, really amplify it for the city. So we are, I mean, I know the team has really been thinking long term here, and the partnerships they're building around it are long-term partnerships.
That's great. Thank you. Thank you.
Kia ora anō, I had a pātai from myself. So when I visited other centres around the country and they're redesigning smaller spaces like Toi Pōneke or their central library or some of the archives in their museums, they are combining a lot of those aspects. So I wondered if thought had been given to maybe a few more of the aspects around a gallery space or different services that might be spread out across the city at the minute that might also be able to join the Toi Pōneke kaupapa.
Do you want to talk
Yeah,
to
absolutely. Kia ora. Terry, we are working on that deeply at the moment and have been considering that over a number of years, and the possibilities, especially building on that tuakana taina concept and manaakitanga, looking after our artists into the future, mean that we can work into any space. We can take, and because it's about ensuring that people are able to do their work into the future in terms of their arts practice. So we're really considering that and have been looking at that in different through different opportunities we've been looking at through facilities as well. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Councillor Free.
Yeah. Oh, yes, I did it. Sorry. Do you have enough budget to be confident you can find a building that will meet the sort of
Yes.
purposes that you're looking for?
We have looked at that very strongly, and yes, we are confident we have that.
Yeah, because sadly we're not in a position to have budget blowouts anywhere, really. But that's good to know.
I should say that James Roberts, his first conversation, every sentence is no more money.
No.
That's a guiding principle of this work. But you did make an uplift for CapEx in the LTP, modest, in order to enable us to
refit something. Yeah. So the idea is you would rent a space, but you'd be able to have a bit of money to fit it out to suit.
Yes.
Okay.
Councillor Matthews.
Thanks, team. And I've really appreciated the presentations and conversations that have happened with the Accessibility Advisory Group. And I guess kind of flowing on from the central place that disabled artists and audiences have in Ahotini. I'm just wondering if you might want to give us an update. I know there's massive concerns about the accessibility of the current facility and how that is factoring into our conversations and looking at alternatives.
I'll answer that. Kia ora. Councillor Matthews. Yes, it's absolutely foundational. It's one of the baselines. We saw some of the baselines we had there previously, and it's right in there. So, it's all about thinking.
I mean, it's just great ill luck that Arts Access, the lead agency in the country for working with accessibility issues, is on the first floor of Pōneke, and the lift breaks down all the time. So it could not be worse, really, in that sense. Yeah, given who visits them. Yeah, and who their workforce are. We are happy to provide a project plan. The project managers online and in the back of the room will be delighted to hear that request. So we're very tightly controlled now. We're on a very tight timeline. Yeah.
Yeah, and it would be good just to have a reminder because that decision-making process that's before us. So maybe if we could just get a briefly, have an expectation about what the next steps from after this workshop will be from us, for us to the decisions required of us.
Yep. Yes, happy to do that. Yep.
Kia ora. Deputy Mayor Foon.
Yeah, just a bigger question, just knowing how, as you've said, Toi Pōneke is unique around Aotearoa. I guess that with a refresh, essentially, that's what we might get. What opportunities are there to really kind of show leadership nationally from the creative capital that we can really kind of hone in on and put a stamp in the ground, if you like. Just nothing about Christchurch challenging our status, just always looking for an opportunity to...
Look, I would say, and all credit to my colleagues and Matt online, I would say that the discussion with iwi has been very interesting here. Art centres don't often start with that conversation, and they have started with that conversation, so I would say that that is an amplification of possibilities. I think we're really honing, and this is Te Awa Mapara's job as well, we're really thinking about how you create hubs for different groups within the community and how this might relate to Tanako, for instance. We are keen to retain a central city site for the Arts Centre. We think it's important it's outward facing. So if you get a visible outward facing Arts Centre, not one that's perhaps more invisible in Abel Smith Street, you're going to invite in a whole lot of activity that otherwise you have to really go out and try and find.
Yeah, that's right.
There's lots of room for exchanges nationally, yes.
We were asked, I mean, you would have heard these submissions actually, because a number of the councillors were actively involved in our Hotini last triennium, but Massey University in particular made a submission asking us to look at this gap for emerging artists coming out of tertiary training and really focus on it. So that has driven, those formal submissions through that process have driven a lot of this thinking.
Hi. Councillor Wineta.
Oh. I've done it twice in a row. Thank you, team. This sounds fantastic. Excuse my slightly nasally voice. I'm just wondering how this is going to feed into and work with the National Music Centre. I did just hear you speak a little bit about it in that last answer, but I'm wondering if there's any more specific join-ups between those two.
Well, excitingly, we have the inaugural meeting tomorrow of the National Music Centre service delivery.
Oh, cool.
And with the new professor, the head of the school at the Victoria School of Music, who comes from a very wide-ranging experience in Canberra, and he's already reaching into, based on his work with Aboriginal communities, based on his work with community artists, in a multicultural context, he's already thinking of how Victoria will push that music school out into the Wellington in a more visible way. And I think that will join very nicely with the thinking that's going on here for Toi. And luckily all of this is running through Creative Capital, so we're able to, if you like, try and join all these people together and throw them in to think about it. Yeah.
Awesome. Sounds great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. Final Pātai, Councillor Free.
There we go. I guess I'm just thinking, this isn't my area of kind of passion, so I don't know much about it. But is there, how much thinking has been done about using what we've already got? Like, for example, there's been talk about the old Wellington Museum building, maybe going somewhere else. I mean, is there potential to do more with the Tākina? And I'm trying to think, can we actually do more with what we've got? Can we link in somehow with WOW and display their costumes? I mean,
yes. Look, I think the principle you're advancing, which is how do these things join up? Have we got facilities that might be able to respond? Can we think laterally? Absolutely, I think that's always in our mind. It's partly in our mind because there's so little money. So you're always trying to think, how can we stretch this further?
Right.
In this case, there isn't, given what the centre does and how it runs, and the fact that it has tenancies as well as casual users of facilities like a dance studio, there isn't an obvious existing answer in our current stock of buildings, and you wouldn't be able to create that capacity on the fit-out budget we've got. So some very practical considerations about space are driving our thinking here.
That's right. Yeah.
and my other question was, there was talk about decisions coming back to us. What decisions are they likely to be?
I don't think you'll have any actual decisions. You've already made the decision.
Okay.
That's
what I was thinking.
Yeah, the decision about the lease is an operational decision.
That's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
Right, very quick Pātai, Councillor Young.
Have you had any discussions with the new owners of St Gerard's, who are desperately trying to find a purpose for the building? The church is a big earthquake problem, but the building, which has lots of little rooms where the monks used to live, they're trying to find a purpose for it. So just thought I'd throw that into the mix. Gisela, you could go and do your Catholic incantations, whatever they're called, that you Catholics do.
You could join me.
Yeah, I could. We can sing the same school songs. So just say, they are looking for a purpose. I mentioned it to them, and I was with my brother who said they've got to find a way of making money, but they said they're not looking, they're just trying to find a purpose for it.
Well, St Gerard's is a fabulous building, so it wouldn't do what the vision is here, which is actually open, collaborative working spaces that are modern, because they're small room. I know St Gerard's, I've been inside it. But by all means, Councillor Lang, if there's somebody who'd like to talk to us, we're always interested in possibilities.
So I'm seeing them again next week, so I'll have another little chat.
Yep.
Thank you.
Ngā mihi nui, thank you all. We are out of time and out of Pātai, but I just wanted to really thank you for all the work that you've been doing with community. I know there are hundreds and hundreds of people that engage with Toi Pōneke in such a short space of time, and to be able to manage those expectations and, including the beautiful concepts that you've talked about today, I think it's a really positive direction. Thank you.
Kia ora.